Shoot in RAW on your phone and edit your images on the go like a pro. Keep watching to learn everything you'll need to know to master Lightroom Mobile. Get the best out of the incredible camera on your phone, and blow away your clients with rapid, professional photo edits. Hi, I'm Jamie from Envato Tuts Plus. In this Lightroom Mobile for Beginners course, we're going to cover all the tools you'll need to create high-quality looking photo edits straight from your smartphone or tablet. We'll cover the built-in camera and shooting in RAW, how to crop photos in Lightroom Mobile, make basic adjustments to exposure, contrast, and color, sharpening to really make your images pop, and exporting and sharing images straight from Lightroom Mobile. Lightroom Mobile is a free app that lets you create, edit, and share high-quality images. It doesn't matter if you're a pro photographer or just casually snapping an image here or there. Lightroom Mobile is an incredible editing tool that can really help to bring out the best out of your images. In this course, I'm going to be using photos of my own, but if you need to source images or other creative digital assets, such as Lightroom presets, be sure to check out all that and more at Envato Elements. Lightroom Mobile can be a real lifesaver, and it's so easy to use from your smartphone or tablet. Let's jump into the course so we can get you feeling confident using Lightroom Mobile. One of the absolute best features of Lightroom Mobile is its built-in camera. The thing that's so great about the Lightroom Mobile camera is that it gives us the option to make our images using a raw image format. A raw image is an unprocessed file format, which gives us all of the data available to us recorded by our camera's sensor. This is in contrast to a compressed file type that's easier to share, something like a JPEG. Shooting in RAW allows us to get the most out of the images made from our mobile devices. To activate the camera, open the Lightroom Mobile app and click the little camera icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the workspace. To switch the image format settings so that we can make the Lightroom Mobile camera shoot in RAW, click where it says JPEG at the top menu bar. Then click the slider over to DNG. DNG stands for Digital Negative, which is a raw image format. Now let's talk about actually taking a photo with the Lightroom Mobile camera. Locate the capture button in the bottom center of the app, which looks like a big white circle, and give it a tap to make an image. Shoot like you would any other mobile camera. You can pinch to zoom in or out, touch anywhere in the frame to adjust focus, etc. The camera in Lightroom Mobile might not be quite as quick to access as the native camera on your mobile device, but taking these couple of extra taps into Lightroom Mobile to shoot a raw image rather than a JPEG is a huge benefit. When you shoot a raw photo, you'll capture the most possible information, which gives you much greater editing capabilities when you start to edit that photo. If you know the basics of photography, terms like aperture and ISO, then the pro mode of the Lightroom Mobile camera is going to be the best place for you. If what I just said went a little over your head, skip ahead a couple of minutes to the next chapter where we get into editing, or maybe stick around and learn something about these relationships. To access the Pro mode, click on Auto to the left of the capture button. Then click on Professional in the menu options. Now on the main screen of the camera, we have options to manually control the exposure, shutter speed, ISO, and white balance of our image. This is where we can refine the image in camera, which is always the best way to get the highest quality image. The closer we can get our initial exposure to a final looking edit, the higher quality the image is going to be. To adjust the speed of your camera shutter, tap Sec, then move the shutter speed slider to the right for slower shutter speeds, and to the left for faster shutter speeds. Double tap Sec to reset the shutter speed value back to auto. To set the ISO, tap ISO, then move the ISO slider to the right for higher ISO values, and to the left for lower ISO values. Double tap ISO to reset the sensitivity value to auto. To set your white balance, tap WB, and then you can select your desired white balance icon from the options bar. AWB is for an automatic white balance, light bulb icon for tungsten, rectangular bulb for fluorescent, sun icon for daylight, and the cloud icon for cloudy. Double tap WB to reset the white balance to auto. You can also set a focus distance with this camera by tapping the plus button. Drag the focus distance slider to the right to increase the focus distance, and to the left to decrease. Double tap the plus button to reset the focus distance to auto. These tools offer us photographers all of the creative freedom that we have with a DSLR, but with the convenience of using our mobile device. Be sure to play around with these settings to really get the most out of your photos. Now comes the fun part. We've taken a photo we like, and it's time to move on to the edit. If you don't know where to begin, I'm going to show you an easy workflow to get you started. Inside of Lightroom Mobile, let's go to our photo library, and from here, locate the photo you want to edit. Give it a tap. Now we'll move to editing the photo. To begin, make sure the upper left-hand menu is set to Edit if it isn't already. Take a second to navigate through the menu below the image to see all of the editing options, as there are quite a few. You can do everything from adjusting the exposure, white balance, adding clarity, vignettes, and so much more. Let's begin the edit by making any necessary crop adjustments to the image. Begin by tapping the crop adjustment icon, which is at the bottom of the editing menu. Then tap the crop ratio icon, bottom left-hand corner, and select the ratio that you prefer. I'm going to stick with the ratio as it is at 3:4, but if you're shooting for Instagram, maybe you want a 4:5 or a 1:1, or even a custom crop ratio. Next, tap and drag on any of the edges or corners of the crop box to refine the composition of the image. You can drag the border in or out, and Lightroom Mobile will gray out the portion of the image that's being cropped out. If you need to reposition the image within the crop box, just press and hold and then drag accordingly. Tap and drag the slider just below the photo to adjust the angle of the crop. Play around with these until you find the crop that starts to feel right to you. Remember, you can come back to this at any point and change your crop. Once you're satisfied, tap the checkmark icon in the bottom right-hand corner and you'll commit. Now that we know how to crop, let's start to take a look at some of the adjustments that we can make to the look and feel of our image. One really nice feature the Lightroom Mobile offers us is the Auto tool. When you tap Auto, Lightroom Mobile will quickly analyze your photo and then make basic adjustments to exposure, contrast, color, etc. Using this Auto function is a really great place for a beginner who's just starting out on their photo editing journey. Tap the Auto button at the bottom of the menu and watch Lightroom quickly analyze your photo and then apply correction settings. The Auto function can get you very close to a finished edit, but often could still use a little customization from the human touch. See the little dots below light and color? That tells me that those adjustments have settings in them that have been altered. I can click on light and/or color, and then see in the menu which variables have been changed and by what amount. Now, if I want to, I can make changes to all of these adjustments as my eye sees fit. Play with these sliders to hone the edit as needed. Again, all of these adjustments can be changed at any time, so don't be afraid to try things out. When it comes to exposure in post-production, we have two options. We can increase the exposure of a photo, which makes the image lighter, or decrease the exposure, which makes the image darker. To edit the exposure, tap Light at the bottom of the screen in the editing toolbar. Moving the exposure slider to the left decreases the exposure, making the image darker, and moving the exposure slider to the right increases the exposure, making the image lighter. Once you've modified the exposure of the image and are satisfied with the result, tap on the back arrow at the top left of the screen to save the edit and go back to the main edit menu. The contrast of an image is what gives it dimension. An image with low contrast has a smaller number of shades in it, and an image with high contrast has a larger number of shades within it. Using the contrast slider in Lightroom Mobile, we can easily take an image from lackluster to just right. In the light section of the edit menu, you'll find the contrast slider. Moving the slider to the left reduces the contrast in the image. As a result, the shadows are brighter and the highlights are darker. Moving the contrast slider to the right increases the contrast in the image. As a result, the shadows get darker and the highlights get brighter. Once you land on the contrast that feels right, tap the back arrow at the top left corner to save the edit. When it comes to color correction, Lightroom Mobile offers you some pretty powerful editing capabilities. To adjust colors, tap on the color icon in the edit menu. Here, you can set the white balance of your image. If your image is a raw image, this is a must, as the white balance that was set in your camera isn't always the right one for your photo. Tap As Shot to reveal the white balance submenu, and try Auto as a starting point. Often this is good enough, but play around with the temperature and tint sliders to refine the white balance as need be. Dragging the temperature slider to the right pushes the image more towards warmer tones, and moving the slider to the left creates cooler tones. Moving the tint slider to the right pushes the images more towards pink hues, and moving it to the left pushes it more towards green hues. If you're a total beginner and don't have any experience editing photos, setting a white balance can feel like a bit of a tricky thing to get right. For an easy tip, the goal of the white balance is to set a neutral starting point for the color of your image. That means you don't want the white balance of the image to overly color your image in any particular way. Rather, get it to a neutral starting place. Just below white balance, you'll find the vibrance and saturation sliders. These adjustments both strengthen or reduce the intensity of the color in an image. However, they do so differently. Saturation intensifies all of the color in the image, whereas vibrance is more specific, and its effect is focused on the midtones of an image, which makes it really useful when dealing with a photo with skin tones. Drag either slider to the left to decrease the intensity of the colors, and drag it to the right to increase the intensity of the colors. Now let's move to the hue, saturation, luminance section of the color adjustments. Tap the Mix button at the top of the color menu, and this brings us to the Color Mix menu, where we have full control over each individual color. We can tap any of the colors here and change the hue, saturation, and/or luminance of any of them. For portraits, I like to bring the hues of the oranges down ever so slightly, and decrease the saturation a little. Sometimes bringing down the saturation of the yellows ever so slightly is also a good move. Making even a subtle color change can bring an image to its full potential. Sometimes the color adjustments needed are going to be obvious, other times less so, but what's most important is that you experiment to get the best out of your image. Applying presets to an image that you love is a lot of fun. With just the tap of a screen, the image can instantly transform in front of your eyes. Thankfully, Lightroom Mobile makes applying presets to your image really easy. To locate these presets, choose a raw image, which is known by the DNG label, and then tap on Presets in the Edit menu. There are two tabs of presets, Premium and Yours. The Premium tab includes preloaded presets such as adaptive presets, different portrait options, seasons, etc. The Yours tab includes any custom user presets, as well as color, creative, black and white, portraits, and so on. The most important thing to do here is to experiment. If you're anything like me, seeing is believing, and I'll trust my eyes to tell me if I like something or not. Go through the different presets to see which one speaks to you. To apply a preset, tap the plus icon in the bottom right corner. Now let's see how the image looked before the preset. Tap and hold on the image. At the top of the screen, it tells you it's the original version. To go back to the edited version, let go of the screen. You can always reverse the preset you've just applied by tapping the undo icon. The presets that come with Lightroom Mobile are a great place to start for a total beginner, but as you begin to edit more photos, you'll find yourself making the same adjustments to suit your preferences. In this case, making your own presets can be a great time saver. Let's take a photo from the Lightroom Mobile library that's already been edited, and I'll show you how to make a custom preset. Tap the three dots icon in the top right corner, and about halfway down the menu, you'll find Create Preset. Give that a tap, and we'll find ourselves in the Create Preset menu, where Lightroom will have automatically ticked the boxes of the adjustments that we've made to the original photo. Next, I'll add a name to my preset. I'll call this Jamie Preset 1, and save it to the User Presets group. Tap the check mark, and just like that, I've made my own custom preset. We can access this preset by tapping the preset icon in the Edit menu and User Presets. This is where any and all presets you make will be stored, and you can apply them here the same way you'd apply any of the other Lightroom presets. Just tap the name, and those settings will be applied to your photo. Let's take a look now at how we can download and install presets in Lightroom Mobile. Downloading presets made by somebody else can be an amazing way for a beginner photographer to get professional-looking results and fast. Using presets is a really easy way to get consistent looks across multiple images and across multiple shoots, and is a great way to compare different editing styles really quickly, as you can just click from one to the next to the next. Many professional photographers are known for their signature editing style, and if you've ever wondered how they get their images to look like that, or if you wanted to make your images look more like theirs, chances are you can download a preset that does a good job of mimicking their post-production style. There are a ton of different places online that you can download presets from, but I'm going to share with you one of my favorite resources, which is Envato Elements. The first thing we're going to need here is some presets to import. I'm going to open a browser on my mobile device and head over to Envato Elements to find some presets. Elements is an amazing resource that offers thousands of different creative resources, including a wide variety of different Lightroom presets. I'll go ahead and search for Lightroom Mobile presets. And Elements will now show us all the presets that are available to download. Let's take a look through and find one we like. This bleached preset pack looks pretty interesting. I'll tap on Download, assign this preset to an existing project. In my case, that's Envato Tuts, and then tap Add and Download. Then I'll tap Download on the little prompt at the bottom of the screen. Next, Open In, and I'll select Open in Downloads. Next, just tap on the zip file to unzip, and the bleached preset is now ready to go on our mobile device. Now that we've got this preset downloaded, let's head back into Lightroom Mobile and get it imported. To import the preset, first tap the Add Photo button in the bottom right-hand corner of the Lightroom Mobile workspace. Then tap From Files and head to your Downloads folder to find that preset. Tap on the bleached preset folder, and only the DNG file will be able to be selected, which is our preset. Tick the box and then tap Open. Lightroom Mobile will prompt you that one photo has successfully been imported, and just like that, our bleached preset has been imported. There's one last step to actually creating a preset for this look. You'll notice that the bleached photo was imported into our Lightroom Mobile library. Let's go ahead and tap that photo, and then tap the three dots in the top right-hand corner. Now we can tap on Create Preset, which brings us to the Create Preset menu. Here we can name the new preset. I'll name this one Bleached. Next, we'll choose the best group for it to be saved to, which most commonly is User Presets. Lightroom Mobile will have automatically ticked all of the corresponding settings to the edits made in the original, so just tap on the checkmark in the top right corner and we'll have this saved as a preset. To access this preset, we'll go about it the same way we would any other preset. First, select an image you'd like to apply the preset to. Next, tap the Presets icon on the main editing menu. Find your new preset, and then tap on the name, and then tap the checkmark in the bottom right-hand corner to apply it. Your downloaded preset has now been applied to the photo and is ready to be manipulated further or good to go as is. Hold down your finger on the image to see the before of the preset, and release your finger to see the after. Before we move on, I'd suggest heading back into your Lightroom Mobile library and deleting the bleached photo that we copied over the settings from in order to keep your library as clean as possible. To do so, tap the three dots in the top right corner and then select Photos, tap on the bleached photo, and then tap Delete in the bottom right corner. Tap Delete when prompted, and now it'll be gone from your library. But your preset is still available to access in the Presets menu. If you've used the desktop version of Lightroom before, called Adobe Lightroom Classic, and you've already created presets that you know and love, you're going to want to use those same presets inside of the Lightroom Mobile app. Let's take a look at how to sync presets from Adobe Lightroom Classic into Lightroom Mobile. To begin, let's head over to our computer and open Adobe Lightroom Classic. Now that we're in this workspace, let's go to the Develop module and head to the Presets menu. Choose a preset you wish to sync to Lightroom Mobile. I'm going to go with this one here. Hold down Control and click the name of the preset, and then from the drop-down menu, select Export. Choose a convenient location to export your preset. For ease, I'm going to export it to my desktop. I'll leave the name of the preset the same so that I recognize it when I bring it into Lightroom Mobile. Click Save. Now that we've successfully exported our preset from Lightroom Classic, we need to get it to import into Lightroom Mobile. For this step, the simplest solution is to use Lightroom CC, which is the free desktop version of Adobe Lightroom, and is essentially the components of Lightroom Mobile, but available on a computer rather than a mobile device. Let's open up Adobe Lightroom CC on our computer to get the import going. Click on the Edit menu, which is the icon that contains sliders in the top right corner of the workspace. Then, click over to the Presets menu, located at the top of the Edit menu. Click on the three dots to reveal the Presets drop-down menu, and then select Import Presets. I saved my preset to the desktop, and there's the preset. I'll give it a click and then select Import, and just like that, my preset is now synced from Lightroom Classic to Lightroom CC. The only remaining step to getting our presets into Lightroom Mobile is to make sure that we're logged into our Adobe account on both our Lightroom CC and Lightroom Mobile. To check this in Lightroom CC, go to Lightroom, Preferences, and we'll see that I'm logged in as my account information shows up. We'll verify the same from our mobile device. Inside of Lightroom Mobile, click on the settings at the top right corner of the app. At the very top of the app settings menu, we'll find the account settings. Tap that and see how it has my information already plugged in? Well, that confirms I'm signed into my account. X out of the app settings and let's open a photo. Now that we have a photo selected, we should be able to easily find and apply our synced preset. Tap into the presets, go to User Presets, and there's the preset that we synced. Tap them to apply the edits to your photo. Repeat this as necessary for any and all presets that you have in your Lightroom Classic that you're going to want to use on your Lightroom Mobile app. It can be extremely useful to have your images synced across the Lightroom platforms. That way, no matter which app you're on, be it the desktop version, Adobe Lightroom Classic, or the mobile version, Lightroom Mobile, you'll have access to the same photo library. I'm going to show you an easy way to set up syncing, and that way you'll have access to all of the same images. The first step here is to open Adobe Lightroom Classic on your computer. Click on the cloud icon in the top right corner and click Start Syncing. It may take a moment to complete the syncing process depending upon how many images are being synced. When the sync is complete, a green checkmark and Synced is displayed. Now that you've clicked this sync on, syncing will now happen automatically whenever you open Lightroom Classic in the future. Now on to Lightroom Mobile. Back on your mobile device, open Lightroom Mobile. Right in the main workspace, you'll see a cloud icon in the top menu. Click the cloud and start syncing. An uploading in process notification will be displayed. Once the sync is complete, a green checkmark will appear next to the cloud icon. To access the sync settings, click on the settings icon after syncing. Doing so will give you a number of options to tailor your cloud storage and sync settings to your liking. We've now successfully synced our images. To access the images from your Lightroom Mobile in your Lightroom Classic, simply head back to your computer, and in the library, under the catalog header, you'll see an All Synced Photographs library. When you click on this, it'll display to you all of the photos from your Lightroom Mobile app, but now in Lightroom Classic. Now you can click over to the Develop module in Lightroom Classic and do any edits that you might want to the image. Lightroom will automatically sync these edits across the Lightroom ecosystem, including Lightroom Mobile. Activating the sync function inside of Lightroom is a huge organizational help, as well as a big time saver. One of the final steps to any photo edit is applying sharpening to your image. Often, starting by just pulling up the sharpening slider in Lightroom Mobile is a good place to start, but I'm going to show you a slightly more detailed approach, and that way we can avoid any ugly over-sharpening. First things first, let's choose a photo in Lightroom Mobile that we've already applied some edits to. We'll use this as our guide to sharpening. Scroll over to the Edit menu to find the Detail setting, which is displayed as a little triangle shape icon. Tap Detail, and this will reveal a menu with all of the ways we can increase the details of the image, including sharpening right at the top. Sharpening an image applies contrast to its edges. To increase the amount of sharpening, drag the sharpening slider to the right. Notice how the sharpening slider gets red towards the right extreme of the slider? This red territory signifies where you might be at risk of over-sharpening your image, which will result in edge halos or noise, which we definitely want to avoid. While sharpening applies contrast to the edges of our image, the radius slider controls the thickness of that edge contrast. Moving the radius slider to the right makes the contrast edge thicker, while decreasing the radius slider makes it thinner. For portraits, I'd recommend using a very small radius, as too big of a radius will look unnatural on someone's skin. For landscapes, a bigger radius can be just the trick to making an image pop. Be sure to play around with this and see what looks best to your eyes for each individual image. The Details slider modifies which details gain sharpness. Moving the Details slider to the right sharpens the smallest details of your image. Moving the detail slider to the left sharpens only the larger details. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, so use your eyes as your guide as you play with the slider to get the best results. Finally, the masking slider controls which parts of the image are getting the sharpening effects applied to. Dragging the masking slider to the right applies the sharpening only to the areas with strong edges, typically the areas of the image that are in focus. When the masking slider is towards the left, the sharpening will be applied more generally to the entire image. Masking can help decrease noise that the detail and radius sliders sometimes produce, so once again use your eyes as you adjust the sharpening masking. After you apply a sharpening effect, place your fingers on the screen and pinch outwards. This will zoom in on your image, giving you a better view of the sharpening adjustment that you've just made. Sharpening involves fairly subtle changes that can be difficult to see on a small screen when you're zoomed out, so be sure to get in a little closer to judge whether or not you've sharpened to your taste. Make changes to your sharpening as need be once you've zoomed in and gained some perspective. To save the sharpening adjustment, tap the back arrow at the top left of the Lightroom Mobile workspace and return back to the main edit menu. At this point in this Lightroom Mobile for Beginners course, we've covered just about every aspect of photo editing. But what good is a photo if it's not shared? The good news here is that Lightroom Mobile makes it very easy for us to share our images, and we can even do things like post to Instagram straight from within the app. Let's take this photo that I've previously edited and get it ready to post to Instagram. The last step we're going to need to do to prep this photo to post on Instagram is to make a crop that's suitable for Instagram's format. This means either a square crop, which is a 1:1 ratio, or a rectangular crop, which Instagram maxes out at a 4:5 ratio. Tap the crop icon in the edit menu, and then tap the ratio button in the bottom left-hand corner to reveal the available cropping ratios. Then we can drag the image to adjust which portion of the image will be cropped out and which portion will make it to the final piece. You can also drag the circular angle adjustment just below the cropping window to adjust any necessary rotation of the image to make the best crop. Once you're happy with the crop, tap on the check mark in the bottom right-hand corner to apply this cropping to the image. Now to get this image over to our Instagram, click the share icon at the top of the app. It looks like a little square with arrows pointing upwards. In the share menu, tap on the toggle switch to the right of share to open the export settings. Here, make sure the settings are JPEG for file type, small is OK for dimension, and then make sure your image quality is at 100%. Tap the checkmark to commit to these settings. Our share options are now perfectly tailored to Instagram, so let's tap on the share icon one more time, which will reveal all of our sharing options. Instagram will be one of the main options, so give that icon a tap to share it to Instagram. Then you'll be prompted to share it as a post, story, or message. I'll tap post and it'll prompt with a caption. Enter a caption. Tap OK. Share icon one more time. And voila. The photo is now shared to my Instagram page directly within Lightroom Mobile. Okay, that was a lot of information. But if you've made it this far, then you've officially learned everything you'll need to know in order to shoot, edit, and share images, all from within Adobe Lightroom Mobile. I use this app all the time as a professional photographer, and when I'm just casually snapping an image or two. Having the ability to shoot a raw image from our mobile device is something that is incredibly powerful and should not be overlooked. Lightroom Mobile is for everybody, and I hope this course has showed you just how easy it is to use. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Lightroom tutorials and so much more.